But of course, Villa looking for a new manager, Simon. Warnock's gone from Middlesbrough. Daniel Farke's gone from Norwich. International break arrives, Simon. How many of the boardrooms involved have a solid plan B, do you think? I mean, Steve Gibson obviously did.
Well, it's a bit of both, isn't it? I mean, you know you need to get rid of something, and you're looking down the barrel of making that decision against the backdrop of having somebody in mind. Having somebody in mind doesn't necessarily mean you can secure them. I quite often took managers out in international breaks with the need. 2 occasions of taking them out without necessarily a plan B. 1 occasion of taking someone out when I actually had the person in mind, and that was Neil, to replace Peter Taylor.
Right.
And that came off the back of a game that we played quite well in, but I'd made my mind up before the game that Peter had run his course.
Yeah.
So, look, plan B, in football today, you can move things pretty quickly, especially in the Premier League, because what often tends to be the barrier is finances, and most of the finances now can be removed to one side, whether it's paying out managers' contracts or agreeing, the salaries that managers want. So the plan B mentality is good practice, good thinking, understanding the marketplace you're in, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can still deliver the outcome, because despite having somebody, you've seen Nuno Espirito Santo walk through the door at Crystal Palace, everyone think that deal was done, and Lucien Favre at the same thing at Palace, and they change their minds because a better option comes along. So you can never absolutely unequivocally nail down your plan B unless you're a really big club that people are calling across broken glass to get to.
Yeah. What about Villa? You and I were texting each other. You were surprised that they pulled the trigger on Dean
Smith.
Smith.
I am absolutely in the camp that there is never a manager getting fired in this day and age more often than not that doesn't deserve it and is surprised by it. And we spoke about Dean Smith earlier on the Friday show with Martin Keown.
Yeah.
And I was surprised at the decline in their form. We talked about what I feel are certain players that are a bit overinflated in terms of reputation, in terms of Tyrone Mings that weren't performing, and I didn't think were good enough anyway. But I was surprised. My first reaction was when I saw the result on Friday. But I didn't think, given the nature of the relationship with the owners and the journey that they've been on, that 5 games of poor form was really a background for taking Dean Smith out. Now, I don't think he's the most motivational of people. Myself and Danny were talking about it off air. And, of course, the demeanour you put in front of the camera might be different from the demeanour in the dressing room, but they do tend to be somewhat similar. So I think he can consider himself a little bit hard done by. And I didn't sit there, and I never like to call people out, but I'm not backward about coming forward about saying these people aren't good enough. Yeah. I think Villa have had to overcome injuries and the loss of their best player, and they were probably reformulating again. And he's not been given that time, because I don't see Aston Villa, any shape or form, as being a club that's going to trouble a relegation zone. Right.
Well, Danny, bearing in mind that this is a clip that could be played time and again, it could come back to haunt you. Your old pal Stephen Gerrard's up there, leading the way, favourite to take over. Is he going to get it? Would he want it? What have you heard?
Nothing as of now, but I would be very surprised if he was to leave Rangers to go to Villa. Not that Villa's not a great club, but there's only so far you can take Villa. The ceiling is low.
Yeah, but
compared to
the ceiling, but the owners don't think the ceiling's low.
Well, it doesn't matter what they think. The reality is,
it does actually, because they're the ones that make the decisions.
Well, thoughts and reality are two different things.
They spent 300 million.
Well, it doesn't matter what they spent. I'm talking from Gerrard's position. If you ask me a question about his mentality, I would suggest that he wants to be at the top of the tree in management in terms of competing for winning leagues, Champions Leagues and European trophies. At Rangers, he's trying to win titles again. He's in the Europa. And I think, as I've said before, his ultimate ambition would be to manage Liverpool. Is there another stepping stone between Rangers and Liverpool? I'm not so sure there is. Why would you want to leave a club where the fans...
Yeah, but I mean, Rangers don't want to be regarded as a stepping stone, nor do Villa.
But tragically, Jim, whether you like it or not, they are. I mean, Brendan Rodgers
to Liverpool.
Yeah, of course they are. Brendan Rodgers went from Liverpool to Celtic to rebuild his career, to come back into the Premier League, which was his ultimate destination. His ultimate destination was, and it's not being disrespectful to the 2 major Scottish clubs. There is an assumption, and I'm not in that camp right now, that Steven Gerrard is an elite manager. I don't think he's an elite manager. I think he's managing in a league which has 2 teams that can really compete for it. And I think it's absolutely right that a stepping stone comes between him and Liverpool, because I think the gap is quite significant, despite the fact he was an elite player. And I think Danny's slightly wrong there, because Villa do have the capacity to be a big side in the Premier League. They do have the bandwidth.
Top 4 side, Champions League.
I think they have a top 6 mentality about them. I think the owners do, and the size of the club.
You're talking about Steve's already in Europa League with Rangers.
Well, yeah, but he's in the Europa League with Rangers because he's playing in a league which is not really pushing him to the next level. I know, but I'm on about
your experience as a manager. You're swapping what to go to Villa to achieve what?
But you're taking yourself from a league that has a certain pizzazz about it into the ultimate league, and then trying to punch your way into that league, and jumping from Rangers, which is a great football club doing great things in their league, to Liverpool that are trying to dominate the Premier League, trying to win European tournaments and not be in them, is a vast difference.
But I suppose what it would come down to, really, and this is where we don't know, if Stevie was presented the opportunity by Villa, what they would offer,
what their vision is,
what their vision is, and would there be funds? Would there be an autonomy that he would have to, bring in? Is there somebody else that all those things matter to a manager, don't they?
And he'll know Purslow, won't he?
They're not slow in spending money, Simon. I mean, they spent 205 million since 2019.
Yep.
I mean, that's net spend.
Yeah, that's 3 seasons, isn't it? So if you look in the Premier League and say you're going to get 120 million quid for being in the Premier League, it's not unreasonable to spend 70 million pound a season. That's not setting the place on
Norwich
fire.
spent over 50.
That's not setting the place on fire. If you look at the average top 6 side, what they're spending, with the exception of the wonderful work being done at West Ham, if you look at the average top, look at what Everton have spent. Yeah. Everton have spent 500-600 million to get precisely nowhere.
Yeah, true.
Let's be honest.
I think for me,
they spent 300 million under Smith, and they're trying to get somewhere. Villa are trying to go to the next stage. Dan.
Yeah, well, if they're really serious about that and they present that to a manager, whether it be Stevie or anyone else, then of course it's more appealing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah.
You never say never in football. I mean, I don't. Stevie's ambition, I don't know, but it would be a challenge going into the Premier League and managing Villa with the competition being the way it is in the Premier League at the moment, because you're not just looking at the top 4. You're looking at Leicester, Tottenham are now going hard with concept. Arsenal have turned the corner.
Yeah.
It's very competitive to
West
get
Ham.
in that top 8, top 9.
There is also this assumption that it's a shoo-in that Gerrard's going to manage Liverpool.
Well, exactly.
Klopp's
here as long as you
I
want.
know he's your mate, but I'm not in that camp.
Do you know what, Simon? I mean, I've seen Stevie do interviews. This ain't me talking to him personally. I've seen him do interviews where he constantly plays that and actually talks about the fact that he's got to be good enough to manage Liverpool one day, and at the moment he's not there.
Well, as things stand at Aston Villa this morning, the names on the shortlist, as we are led to believe, Ralph Hasenhüttl, Steven Gerrard, Roberto Martinez, and the Denmark coach Kasper Holmand. They're all under serious consideration, so we hear. But Dean Smith paid the price for 5 successive defeats. Were they right to pull the trigger on Smith? Want to hear from Villa fans this morning? 03717 223344. And who should be next? Gerrard. Simon says he's not an elite manager. If Gerrard gets it, would you be happy with that?
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods. Monday to Wednesday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.